This video begins on page 73 of the Online Administration Manual, and this is it says verbal instructions. All timings begin here. So the room supervisors and the proctors on the morning of the first day has to be on this page 73. All right, so for the introduction, it says verbal instructions for all timings begin here. Do not skip ahead. This section contains verbal instructions to be read to examinees and instructions for staff activities during testing. Familiarize yourself with these instructions and practice reading them before test day. Important, if you're testing more than one examinee in the same room, all examinees must have the same authorized timing. All examinees in the room must begin each test at the same time. So, for example, the first test is ELA. All students must start ELA at the same time. The second test is math. All students must take math at the same time, must start math at the same time. The third test is reading. All students must start the reading test at the same time. And the last test is science, and then all students must start science at the same time. Okay, I'm on the section that says before you begin. Before beginning testing, be sure the test session is prepared, started, and unlocked in Pearson Access Next. The examinee computers on the ACT login screen in TestNav. Refer to the launch applications on computers, page 46, for information on how to change the customer to the ACT and TestNav. You retrieved seal codes from Pearson Access Next, or you know how to do so. You have the prepared roster for your room on the Test Administration Forms folder. You have the student authorization tickets for all examinees listed on the roster. You have the ACT calculator policy. You have the administration supplement state use questions if applicable. You have a supply of scratch paper and pencils. You have accurate and reliable timepieces. And the last bullet for timing code 8, we don't do writing, so we're not going to have timing code 8. The section, reading the verbal instructions. To ensure standardized conditions, room supervisors must read the verbal instructions loudly, clearly, and exactly as written. This ensures all examinees receive consistent, accurate instructions. Read aloud only those instructions in the shaded boxes. Do not read aloud text that are in parentheses. Pause frequently and wait for examinees to finish the task before proceeding. Look at examinees to be sure they are following instructions. Read the correct instructions for your test room, paying close attention to the timing header and prompts for writing rooms versus those for no writing rooms. Perform all tasks only when directed to do so. For this portion of the video, we're going to focus on the first 3 bullets that's in the section called Before You Begin. So we're going to look at the first bullet. The test session is prepared, started, and unlocked in Pearson Access Next. The second bullet, the examinee computers are on the ACT login screen in TestNav. And the third bullet, you retrieve seal codes from Pearson Access Next, or you know how to do so. So we're going to look at the first 3 bullets. The test coordinator created Pearson Access accounts for all room supervisors. So as a room supervisor, as someone that has to perform or give the test, there are certain tasks that you have to do in PA Next. So this is PA Next right here, Pearson Access Next. And so it is in here that you are going to perform tasks before test, during test, and after test. And so notice when you log into PA Next, and you should have done that at least several days before testing in PA Next to make sure you can log in. So before you do that, notice that you'll see in PA Next where this is blue and the top bar is black. When you first log into PA Next, make sure that right here it says ACT Spring 2022. Also, make sure your school name appears. So if your school name is, let's say, EBR Career and Technical Education Center, make sure your school name appears there. Okay, but this is what it looks like. So when you first log into PA Next, you see this. So this is Pearson Access Next. All right. Now for us though, for this video, we're going to look at the training site. And so the training site is a different color. The task we do in the training site is the same task that you would do in PA Next. Okay, so here's the training site. So the training site is brown. You see how the color is brown? All right, and notice it says training ACT. So when we talk about the first three bullets, talking about test sessions and retrieving seal codes, we're going to do this in the training site, but the process is the same in PA Next. Okay, so the first thing you want to do when you get into PA Next is you want to find your session. All right, so you're going to go to Testing, and then you're going to click on Sessions. When you click on Sessions, all the sessions that your test coordinator created appear. And there could be many sessions. There could be multiple pages. Notice that in this particular school, only these sessions were created, and there's just one page. But that could be 2, 3, 4 pages, depending on how large your school is and how many sessions were created. So in advance of the morning of the test, your test coordinator would have told you what your session name is. Now let's talk about what we mean by a session. So you see they have all these session names right here. A session consists of 4 tests. So the ACT test, you have the first test is ELA. The second test the students take is math. The third test the students take is reading, and the last test the student take is science. So each of those sessions consists of 4 tests, and the students go through each of those tests in that order: ELA, math, reading, and then science. All right. So first of all, you have to find your session. Ideally, when you find your session, hopefully when you find your session, your session right here, see where it says session status, will say in progress. That's what you want it to say. You want it to say in progress. And here's why. So when your test coordinator creates a session, and only a test coordinator can create a session, it will automatically say not prepared. Okay? Then the day before testing, the test coordinator then goes in to each of the sessions and prepares the session. So hence this right here, you see where it says make sure the test session is prepared. So the test coordinator is the only person that can do that. You do not have the ability to prepare a test session. Only the test coordinator has that ability. So when you log in and your session says not prepared, you need to quickly tell your test coordinator to prepare your session. Okay? The other thing your test coordinator has to do is this: the morning of, and this has to be the morning of the test, that first test, the morning of that first test, whether it's single day or multiple days, the morning of that first test, your test coordinator has to start. See where it says the word start? Your test coordinator has to start the session. When the test coordinator starts the session, that's when it's going to say in progress. So that's what you want. You want your session to say in progress. That's important. It has to be green. Okay? So let me remind you. So your test coordinator creates the sessions. When it's created, it will automatically say not prepared. Once your test coordinator prepares, and only the test coordinator can prepare, it will then say ready. It will then say ready. So let me show you what that would look like. It will then say, So I'm going to go back to testing, and then you go to sessions. All right. So when you get into your into the session list, you'll notice that this right here says ready, right? So that means that the test coordinator prepared the session. That's all that means. So when the test coordinator prepares the session, it will say ready. All right. But remember, as a room supervisor, you want your session to say in progress. That's important. You want your session to say in progress. So if it's not prepared, only the test coordinator can prepare it. So when it's not prepared and the test coordinator prepares, it goes to ready. Once the test coordinator starts the session the morning of, then it goes to in progress. Okay? So ideally, you want your session to say in progress. That's important. If it says not prepared, you have to go to your test coordinator. If it says ready, you have to go to your test coordinator. All right, now let me say something about that ready right here. So remember that first bullet. The test session must be prepared and started, right? Okay, so when it started, it says in progress. So if yours says ready, then all you have to do, but you got to get permission from your test coordinator. All you have to do to start it, and you have the ability to start. You as a room supervisor can start the session. So let me show you how to do that. So you see this one's ready right here, Banga. That says TC1 Banga. So I'm going to click on the little box. I'm going to check on it. Then I'm going to go to the task pane right here. I'm going to then go to show students in sessions and control sessions. And then notice there are no students, right? So you have to click, see where it says session list? You have to click on that session name right here. So when I click on that session name, notice the students appear. Okay? Now you see right here that I'm circling, it says ready. Remember, you want to say in progress. That's what you want. You want your session to say in progress. So if your test coordinator gives you permission to start the session, then all you do is go here, right here, start session, right? See right here, start session. So when I click on start session, I want you to notice the word right here, ready. That's in gray, circle, that's in gray. And then see where it says session name, for where it says session for all of these students? It's gray, right? And then notice right here, you see a padlock with the word ready. So I'm going to go now, I'm going to click on start session. I want you to notice something. When I click on start session, all right, so now notice right here, it says in progress in green. You now get this. So this says you have five students that are ready to take the test. I'm going to move this up, and then I want you to see in session right here, you have them all in green. So that means in progress. And notice you have a padlock with the word ready. Now you have this drop down. So I'm going to click on that little drop down, and you have the ability to unlock each individually, or you can go up here to unlock. But we're going to talk about that in a little while. All right, so I don't want to do that just yet. All right, so I just wanted to show you how you could start your session. Okay? All right, now what I want to do now is show you how to unlock your session, because that's ideally what's going to happen. So when you log in to your, I'm going to go back to testing, I'm going to go back to sessions. When you log into PA Next, chances are your session is going to say in progress. That's what it's going to say. All right, so you're going to find your session, and there are several ways to find your session. So you can find your session by filtering right here, but you have to use what your session name starts with. So if your name, like you see right here where it says Lodge, is somewhere in the middle of the session name and you search by Lodge, it's not going to show up. You have to search by how it begins. So if it's just one page, it's easy to do. If it's 2 pages, it's still easy. But if there are 4 pages right here, it could take you 30 seconds to a minute, which is not long, but still you would have to go that way if if you don't know what your session name begins with. All right. Okay. So let's go ahead and go to a session that's in progress, because that's normally what's going to happen for you. Okay, so when you get into PA Next, you're going to find your session. So let's say this one right here is your session right here. So it says in progress, which is what you want. And it's this right here, the one that says Banga. And it has 5 students. See the little 5 right here? The number of students. It has 5 students in it. If this is a standard time test, you'll probably have between 15 to 25 students possibly. But this one has 5. So I'm going to go ahead and click on the little box right here. All right, so remember we want to go, and now we want to unlock the test. So I'm going to show you how to unlock the test. So you're going to click on the little box. You're then going to go to Task pane right here. Then you're going to click on Show Students and Sessions and Control Sessions. All right. Now, automatically the students showed up right here, but that probably is not going to happen. So if there no student shows up, then you want to click on this list right here. So click on the list, and now the students would show up. All right. So notice you have 5. You have 5 students that are, and it's a gray bar right here, and it says in progress, and it's still locked. All right. So you want to unlock. All right. Now listen carefully. If you want to unlock all of them at the same time, all you do is this. See this little right here that I'm circling? It's a padlock that's locked and unlocked. All you do is move it over. Now I want to show you what happens when it moves over. Take a close look at this right here. See where it says student test status, and you see it's a padlock, and it has ready with the drop down arrow. All right, I want to show you what happens. And also take a look at this right here, the little gray bar with 5 near it, with 5 on it. So I'm going to move it over. You just move it you move that circle to the right. So move it to the right, and notice this now says right here, see the padlock is gone. See that? On the student test status, padlock is gone. All right, and so now you've unlocked the test. So before students can put in the seal, you must unlock the test. And so that's how you unlock the test. All right, very simple, right? Not difficult at all. Now let me just say something though. Suppose the first test starts, and let's say this student right here did not show up. All right, did not show up, right? All you need to do now is just go ahead and lock that particular student. So you're going to lock that student. So all the others you're going to leave unlocked because they're taking a test. This student you're going to go ahead and lock. Now, when I lock that student, I want to show you what's going to happen here. All right, so I'm going to go ahead, drop down menu. I'm going to lock that student because the student did not show up. So I'm going to go ahead and lock. And see, now you have a little padlock, and notice up here it's mixed. You see it says mixed. It's mixed because you have some students that are unlocked and some students that are locked. All right, so if you have any students that don't show up that's in your list, then just go ahead and lock them. So if it's this student, you're going to click on the padlock right here, lock, and then now this student is locked. Okay, so that's how you do it. That is how you unlock a test for all students. If some of them don't show up, you just go ahead and lock them, and that's it. So for that first bullet, we talked about what it means to prepare. The test coordinator should be the one that should start the session, but if that test coordinator for some reason did not have your session started, you now know how to start, and you now know how to unlock the test for the students. Because remember, it must be unlocked before the student can enter the seal code and begin the test. All right, so let's talk about how to get the seal codes, and then we'll come back to this lunching right here. Okay, so the seal codes, every test, the math test, let me start over. The ELA test has a seal code. The math test has a seal code, which is different. The reading test has its own seal code, and the science test has its own seal code. And each of those seal codes, by the way, is different for each of those sessions. So each of those sessions, the first session here that second session that's listed, that third session that's listed. The ELAs will all have different seal codes. The math will all have different seal codes. So it's different for each of the sessions. All right, so let me show you how to get that seal code. So I'm going to go back to testing. When you log in, you can go to testing. Let's stick with Bango right here. And we're going to show students in session control sessions. All right, so that's where we were, right? All right, very simple to get the seal codes. Here's how simple it is. You go to resources. Resources right here. That's where you go. Go to resources, and you see where it says seal codes? There it is. Click on seal codes, and there are the seal codes. Make sure your name appears here. Your session name appears here, and then your start date appears here. And then that's it. So for when the student in TestNav gets to the ELA where they're asked to enter the seal codes, you're going to tell them enter code 7818. For math, you're going to say enter code 0432. For reading, you're going to say enter code 9878. And then for science, you're going to say enter code 1751. All right, so that's where you get the seal codes. You just go to resources right here, click on seal codes, and there it is. All right, so so we talked about bullet 1, and we just talked about bullet 2. So you now know how to get those seal codes. Okay, now let's talk about launching TestNav on computers. All right, so depending on your room, so you may have desktops or you may have Chromebooks. So if it's a desktop, your IT department should have already, and let me show you, should have already downloaded TestNav. So you see right here where it says Pearson TestNav. If it's already on the desktop, then here is how you're going to launch this application on the computer. All right, so you're going to just click on this icon. So watch what happens when I click on that icon. So when I click on that icon, it's going to say checking for updates. Usually takes about 30 seconds or so for it to go to the next part. And so then you get this page right here, and then you get this. So on the student's desktop, you see where it says username and password? That's where the student is going to use their authorization ticket. They're going to put their username and password. And then it's very important that it says TestNav the ACT. So it should say TestNav the ACT. Okay? Now, again, right here, the username and password, that's where the students are going to use their authorization ticket to enter the username and password. And you get that from the test coordinator. So that's where you're going to get it, from the test coordinator. All right, so then they sign in, and then you go through the process. Okay, so ideally, your test coordinator should provide the authorization tickets to you. But in the training right here, as a room supervisor, it looks like you have access to getting that as well. So again, you just go to resources right here, go to resources, and the resource where you get the seal codes. You can also, it looks like you can get the authorization tickets. So you click on, let's say print all for this session. So you can print all for the session, and there's the authorization ticket. Okay, but the test coordinator should be the one that gets the authorization tickets for you, because the test coordinator can print it one per page, and the student can use that for scratch work. The test coordinator can print it multiple per page and then cut it out and give to each student. As a room supervisor, you don't have the time to do all that. So the test coordinator should, in advance, prepare the student authorization tickets. And then probably what's going to happen is you're going to get one per page. So it's going to show up on this will be at the top of the page, and the student can use the bottom part of the page for any scratch work, or the back of the page for scratch work. Okay. All right. So that is the ability how you can get the authorization tickets as well. Okay, now we talked about launching TestNav from the desktop. Well, what if you were using a Chromebook? What if a student is using a Chromebook? All right, so let me show you in EBR what that would look like. So I'm going to move this over. So students are going to open their Chromebook, and at the bottom left, you're going to see a kiosk that says apps. So the students are going to click on that kiosk right here. They can click on apps. When they click on apps, let me go ahead and expand this a little bit better. When they click on apps, then they're going to see this right here. TestNav is at the bottom. They're going to then click on TestNav. When they click on TestNav, it's going to get them to this point right here. Okay, now chances are it's going to look like this. Let me show you. It's going to look like this. Let's see. Give it a little while. All right, it's going to look like this. You want them to click on the one that says the ACT. So it's got to say the ACT. So if they get this page right here, they have to choose the ACT, or not them, you. You're the one that has to do that. So you have to make sure that they're clicking, or you're clicking for each one of them, the ACT. All right. So once they do that, then verify. You and the proctor need to verify that their desktop shows this right here. It must say TestNav, and underneath it must say the ACT. Okay, so it's very important. So if they get to this page, either by launching it in the desktop or using their Chromebook, it is important. Obviously, Louisiana is not listed, but this is where you would go. You would go to the ACT. Click on the ACT, and then you get what you need. So you need this to say TestNav and the ACT. Okay? All right, so that should be the first 3 bullets I wanted to talk about for this part of the video. So that first video was to show you how to get to your session, how to unlock the test in your session, how to retrieve the seal codes. You also know that you have the ability to look at the authorization tickets as well, and how to launch TestNav on the desktop or on the Chromebook. Okay, so the second video will continue on this process, but this is the beginning. So before you begin, this is what you have to do to get ready for students to take the test.